Since the focus of Learn and Lead is on people with emphasis on professional development of your trainers, it is both natural and logical to begin the setup process with your human resources. Learn and Lead HR module is built into the existing Embers HR module, so we will go into Tools and Reports and then Human Resources. We can go ahead and open any of our trainers and we can see our Learn and Lead tab on the far right. The first thing we need to define is our trainer starting point at our school. We need to set up the work start date and number of lectures held prior to his employment at our school. The work start date should be fairly easy. The number of lectures might be a bit trickier. Of course, this does not need to be the exact number, as it is sometimes impossible to have that information, but you should aim for the best possible approximation. You can work together with your teacher to figure that number out. For example, we can say that Eamon worked at another school for 2 years, teaching 10 months out of a year, average of 20 hours per week, 4 weeks per month. Therefore, that number comes out to 800. Once we save that information, the rest of the form opens up for us. The next thing we need to set up is our ProCap score and equal score. If you're unfamiliar with these, please refer to Determining ProCap and Equal Score video tutorial. It is important to emphasize that both of these scores will change as the trainer makes progression through their professional development pathway. Learn and Lead relies on tracking that progression as well, which is why for both of these numbers you need to define the starting date of a particular score. As they progress, you can add new values with new starting dates. In this particular example, Eamon had a ProCap score of 0 when he started working with us, but then progressed to a score of 1 12 months later. We can apply the same principle for the equal score. We can say that this trainer had initial score of 44 when he started, and then some 18 months later progressed to an equal score of 49. Now we can move down to inputting information about the basic pay rates. Any user who is at this stage should be well familiar with the Learn and Lead philosophy, so we will not go into details about explaining the terminology and principles. The purpose of this tutorial is to demonstrate how to properly set this information up in Ember. So very briefly, Learn and Lead distinguishes 3 different levels of teacher competences. Trainers deliver courses. Leaders, as the title suggests, are in charge of leading trainers and monitoring quality, while the role of developers is much more oriented towards business growth and development. They are in charge of developing relationships with new clients, leading teams, create new courses, and similar. Level 1 generally refers to language development, Level 2 is language and content development, and Level 3 is people and business development. Each of these levels further contains up to 3 different categories based on the complexity of work that needs to be delivered. Teacher payroll is a very important concept in Learn and Lead philosophy and in my opinion one of the biggest strengths of the system. The premise behind it is that you can use a very well structured payroll model to secure a sustainable business development. This model allows you to correlate several important aspects. 1. You can determine the pay rate of your staff based on both the complexity of work and their own professional development. This is a good way to motivate your staff towards professional development, which is again very important for sustainability of your school. 2. Financial reward is also dependent on specific performance targets. This way, you motivate your staff to perform according to the standards that you set at your school, which in turn facilitates the delivery of a quality service to your clients. And 3, such system makes it much easier to set your fees for different services. It allows you to make the best possible decisions when it comes to setting your financial targets, including the profit. It ties very well with other Embers analysis tools. Without such a structured system, it would be nearly impossible to tie all of the previously mentioned aspects into your decision-making process, and good decision-making is the core of your business growth, development, and sustainability. So let's see how all of this can be properly set up in Ember. Our teacher Eamon here is a fairly experienced level 1 teacher with his current ProCap score of 1 and equal score of 49. Therefore, we can set his pay rates for level 1 courses starting at 8.50 euros per lesson for level A, 9.50 euros for level B, and 10.50 euros for level C. Again, it is important to emphasize that each trainer can progress to higher pay rates as they develop in your school, which is why Amber allows you to input multiple pay rates with different start dates for each particular pay rate. For demonstration purposes, I will input two sets of numbers. I will input slightly lower pay rate at the beginning of Eamon's employment with us, and then slightly higher current pay rate. So these are now current rates that Eamon will be paid for teaching or delivering level 1 courses designated as A, B, or C based on their complexity. In addition to the current pay rates, we can always track their progress over time since they arrived at our school. At the same time, Eamon works as the leader for other trainers delivering level 1 courses. Therefore, we can go ahead and designate pay rate per lesson for his work as a leader, which mostly refers to leading trainers and monitoring quality as mentioned earlier. Leader rates are set up in the exact same way as the training rates, meaning you can have progressive rates over a period of time. Since we've already seen how to set this up, I will only input one set of leader pay rates, which will be his current pay rates. Finally, you can input your developer rates in the exact same way. We will not do it in this tutorial. Technically, this person would not be a developer. Your regular developer would be something like a level 2 trainer and then a level 1 developer. The important thing here is to learn how to properly input these numbers in Amber. Finally, we need to set up our bonus pay rates. These are rewarded for each lesson for reaching specific targets. If we click on level 1 trainer bonus rates, we will see several categories: admin, quality, performance, and further training. And once again, we have a timestamp, meaning that these can change over time. I will now go ahead and add one set. A very wise principle demonstrated to me by Harmony Academy was to determine an overall bonus, something like €1, and then divide it between admin, quality, and performance, where 30% of that bonus is added for admin and performance, and 40% is added for quality. So I will do exactly that. This way I added a 30-cent bonus for admin and performance and a 40-cent bonus for quality. Once again, at this point you should have a good understanding of what each of these stands for. Very briefly, admin bonus is awarded for successfully administrating the lesson in Amber within a given time frame, so filling out things like attendance, homework, lesson summaries, and whatever else you may require of your teachers. Performance bonus is awarded for reaching performance objectives on a monthly basis, and quality is awarded for following quality standards of your school. It is important to emphasize here that it is actually leaders who determine whether teachers have reached their quality targets, so leader pay rates that we determined earlier are actually closely tied to making sure trainers reach these targets. Finally, we can put something like 10 extra cents for further training. This will be awarded if trainer has achieved all of these other performance targets on a daily basis. And with that, we have successfully set up Eamon's profile. The rest of the profile here will be filled out automatically by Amber as it does all the payroll calculations and other operations.